Welcome to P3, I'm Randall Mark. This is the show that explores the fascinating people, places, and perspectives that make up our world. On today's show, we take you to the Middle East, to the site of one of the most epic battles in ancient history, the place Mastada, Israel. This is P3. P3 was recently invited to Israel by Canadian Friends of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. While there, Ami Dotan, an alumni of the school and a professional tour guide, took us to one of the most amazing places in the entire country. The ancient ruins of Mastada were designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2001. Perched 1,300 feet high above the Dead Sea, Masada was originally constructed by King Herod as a winter palace, complete with hot baths, libraries, and running water. Later, it became the site of one of the most famous military struggles in history. Here's part one of our journey back in time. I'm standing in a very, very amazing place. What are these walls and what are their significance?
These walls are the Roman siege camp for the Roman soldiers who wanted to occupy Masada. Now, Masada in Hebrew means the unconquerable fortress, and you can see why as you look up. But the Romans did it, and how they did it, I think we'll be able to see when we get up there.
Wow, I can't wait to experience it. It's blazing hot here right by the Dead Sea, and I'm about to experience one of the most amazing wonders in all of Israel. Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, so what are we coming into now?
We're coming into the bathhouse. Now, before we talk about the bathhouse, you have to imagine King Herod the Great, okay? Coming not like us with a car from Jerusalem, but 3 days horseback riding or on a camel or walking even, and climbing all the way up to Masada. What does he feel? Exhausted? Dirty? The first thing he wants to do is take a shower, right? Like we would.
Yeah,
but it's a royal shower, right? It's not like what we have in our houses. It's a royal shower. And we'll see the royal shower, which is, in that time, a Roman bathhouse, when you walk inside.
What's stunning me as I'm coming up on top here is here's a king who's built like a winter home on top of an incredible mountain.
He had 7 winter homes like that, all over the Judean desert in this area. He built Caesarea. He built Temple Mount, as we see today. He was megalomaniac. He was a huge person, a huge personality. And he was not loved by his people, and he was threatened from the outside as well. So we'll talk about that when you see his palace.
Let's go check out his bathhouse.
Okay.
What are we doing here now?
Actually, what we are seeing now is a dressing room. Okay, so that's King Herod's bathhouse. If you see the walls, okay, you see the stucco, which is the method of imitating marble, if you want. Okay, which made it even more fancy and more grand than the bathhouse was. But if you see at this corner, this already is a part of the second story we are going to talk about. Okay. We won't just mention it, not talk about it now. And I think what we'll do, we'll go to the frigidarium and the tapidarium, which are both here. You know what frigidarium is?
Like
from English.
Okay.
Frigid.
Where you keep
cold, right?
Okay.
That's it. So you see the frigidarium.
They have that here too.
They have it here, obviously.
So Herod has a hot bath, he has a cold bath, then he has a medium bath. How do you get the water in here?
That's a good question, which we'll answer later.
Okay.
But what you can see over here, the frigidarium, the cold one, is the smallest one, because you don't want to be a long time in the cold one. Right. You want to be a very short time. Then you go to the tepid one, and now you go to the hot bath.
Where are we now?
We are in the hot room of the Roman bath. And how does it work? You have an oven on the other side, okay? You asked me where you brought the water from, but where you bring the wood from in order to heat the water is also a good question in the desert. Anyhow, they had an oven over here. The hot air would come under the floor. This is the level of the floor over here. It would stand on the pillars. So the hot air would come under the level of the floor, would go up the pipes that you see over here, and heat the whole room.
This is like a steam room.
If you wanted to, you could put water on the floor and you'd have a steam room if you wanted to. It's incredible.
It is.
And now King Herod is fresh, he's clean,
Right.
and he goes to the palace, obviously. Enjoy the views,
I mean,
right?
I'm thinking about this as like 20 BC and the level of sophistication to have 3 different baths, a steam room, a palace up on this incredible mountain it
Incredible.
blows my mind. I mean, I've been bugging you. How did they get the water to stay alive up on this place?
It's not only alive, it's for the bathhouse, it's for the palaces, it's for the swimming pools that they had over here. They got the water from down here. Let's go and see it.
Okay, let's check it out. I mean, this is overwhelming how big this cistern is to hold the water that's needed to live up.
It's incredible. And think that this is the one on top of Masada.
Right.
On the slopes, they had a system of about 12 cisterns similar to this one, where the water would get from the flash floods. Sometimes the desert have rain, okay, and it would come from flash floods in the wadis, in the valleys, and with a small aqueduct, take part of the water into the cisterns. When the first one fills up, then the second ones go in turn. But to get it on top, either from the rain that falls over here, sometimes, or by just carrying up
Like
with
buckets.
donkeys with buckets of water and just pouring everything
It's
in.
unbelievable that you could fill this place up by buckets
And-
with slaves and the manpower it took to dig this out of bedrock just for a king to have his pleasure.
For the king to have his pleasure, then for 1,000 refugees that used
Yeah,
it,
that's right.
and everybody uses the water. And if you look at the walls are plastered,
Yeah.
okay? It's not a natural rock over here.
Right.
They would also plaster the wall so that it doesn't lose a drop
So it doesn't
of
leak
water.
at all.
Exactly.
This really goes to show you at what lengths the Romans went to be able to have the kind of luxury they did on top of this incredible fortress.
Romans are known for that. Like they have aqueducts, they have fountains of water, they have incredible water
Wow,
systems.
this is quite incredible.
And what I like doing here, when I bring people over, I tell them just to be quiet for half a minute. So just listen to the sound of silence. You want to try it?
Okay. I mean, this is an incredible view, and if I was a king, I'd kind of like to be up here. What are we looking at now?
But only after you took the shower.
I've had the bath.
You've had the
bath. Steam bath, the cold bath, all that stuff.
Everything. And now you want to have some fresh fruit, fresh vegetable, some wine and raisins. Show off your huge palace to your guests that come from Rome as well. And you'd come over here to the northern palace of Masada. The palace is built of 3 steps, if you like. Like this is the upper one. We have one which is down there,
Right.
and you have the lower one. You can see
the
the
patio.
pillar over
Look
there,
at that.
right?
Yeah, there's a
So
patio
that's
up
an
there.
incredible step. Like there is a description by Josephus Flavius, the historian, that people would be seen up on the top floor, and then suddenly they would be seen down the lower one, without being seen going through, because they had a staircase which was hidden.
Wow.
Because it was Rome, everything was grand, everything was incredible.
Wow. It's an incredible story of this king who had this dream of a palace in what seems like the middle of nowhere, but obviously it was a very strategic place.
It was. We were going to talk about the Jewish rebellion against the Roman Empire, which started in this point in Masada.
Welcome back to P3. 70 years after the death of King Herod, Masada was seized from the Romans by a group of zealot Jews who were resisting Roman occupation. Almost 1,000 men, women, and children held the mountaintop fortress, but were surrounded by over 15,000 Roman troops below. Here's more on their story with the Hebrew University of Jerusalem alumni tour guide, Ami Dotan. Down below here, and when we first started, there's those stone kind of camps. What was that?
Okay, here we come to the second story of Masada. Actually, it's the more important one. The heritage of Masada is the second story, which you have pointed out for me with the camps over there. We're talking about year 67 AD, about almost 70 years after King Herod had died already. There's no more King Herod. We are not going to talk about him anymore. Okay? We're going to talk about the Jewish rebellion against the Roman Empire, which started in this point in Masada. It started, they had a garrison, the Romans had a garrison in Masada over here. It started by sneaking up, guerrilla warfare if you want, sneaking up. The Romans did not fear anything, didn't think of anything, of Jewish soldier rebels coming up to the top and slaying and killing all the Roman garrison.
Wow.
And catching the place. Now 7 years have passed. 4 years have passed, from 67 to 70, okay? The rebellion was all over Israel, okay? And it was crushed by the Romans. The last stronghold that the Jews had was over here in Masada. So the big rebellions of the Jews against the Romans started in Masada. It continued by the destruction of the temple in year 70 in Masada. And in 73, the Romans came over here and have decided they're going to totally crush Jewish independence.
How many people were up in this stronghold?
Eventually, almost 1,000. But many of them were women, the refugees from all around, from the rebellion who fled over here. Okay, so almost 1,000 people came over here to Masada, lived here, hoping to renew Jewish independence. And the Romans came over here and they built what you pointed out, like the best preserved Roman siege system in the world is here in Masada. You see the camps, okay? You see the camp over there and you see the camp over there and the wall which is going in between the camps. In
so
the
they
middle,
completely surrounded this place?
Completely, all around Masada. The idea is to suffocate the people both of provisions, psychologically, not letting even one person escape. And they have managed that with the siege system and with the warfare that we're going to talk about and see.
Okay, this is going to be an incredible story. Show me the next one.
Okay, let's go.
So, Ami, you have these zealots who are up on top of this incredible mountain fortress. They've got food, they've got water. How long could they last up here?
They could last for years. They have enough food and water for years. They were not only the zealots. Zealots are part of it. There are families of refugees who came with their wives and children, and people lived here for a long time. We're hoping to have again Jewish independence over here because we are close to the east. The Parthians are over there, always a menace to the Roman Empire, hoping that somehow they'll come over here, help the Jews re-establish their independence.
This is the last chance of hope for the people of Israel.
Last chance of hope, exactly, for independence, exactly, last chance of hope. But the Romans obviously have their own ideas. And the Romans come over here and they build the camps that you see over there, the square camps over there, and the bigger camp which is up there, and the wall which goes all around. We've seen it from the northern palace as well. And the Jews over here just laughing at them. The name Masada in Hebrew is the unconquerable fortress. Like, you can stay there for years as long as you want, but you won't be able to come up
this
here.
Is so high on a cliff.
Exactly. But the Romans, what they do, they are so well trained and they are so knowledgeable, they start building the ramp that we can see over here.
Out of dirt, piling.
The dirt over here is not natural formation. This is a dirt that was piled over here by Roman soldiers, by Jewish slaves that were enslaved during the rebellion. If you walk down there, you can even see some logs that they use as scaffoldings for the ramp. Okay, so you see 2,000 years old logs that were supporting the wall. And they have built a siege tower that we can see a reconstruction, or the base of a reconstruction down there of a siege tower, and they start pushing the siege tower to the top.
Up this ramp?
Up this ramp, all the way over here. Now, a siege tower has a battering ram and has an upper floor with archers, so you can chase away the defenders from the wall. You're higher than the people who are defending in the wall, okay? So the archers and stone throwers and so on chase the people away, and the battering ram breaks the wall exactly on this spot that you see over here.
This is where there's a gap. This is the only gap I've seen.
The only gap around, you have a wall which goes all around Masada, and only gap is over here, okay? The Jews still think that they can defend themselves, because what they're doing, they're taking wood that they had inside, and they are building a flexible wall, okay? So if the battering ram rams it, then it just jumps back. It jumps back, so it won't be able to break it, okay? But the Roman, obviously, since it's wood, set it on fire. And then the hand of God is supporting the Jews, and the wind turns its direction, okay? And the fire from the wall, which they have built just on this part, the wooden wall, goes and burns the siege tower, or starts burning the siege tower.
Wow.
But then God deserts the Jews. And the wind changed direction again, and the wall is being burnt totally to the ground. This is happening around the afternoon, even night, and the Jews know that the following day there is no defense anymore, like hope is finished. So they are leaving some garrison over here, some soldiers to keep the gap, and they know that the next day the Romans are going to step in, enslave them, kill them, rape the women, do whatever Romans did when they won a fierce war. So the head or the commander of the rebellion, Eleazar ben Yair, he has a different idea in mind, and he gives a speech in the synagogue, which you're going to give now. Okay?
Let's go.
Let's go. After they have finished hearing Eleazar ben Yair, everybody ran out, hugged obviously their wives and their children, and have slain them. Killed every and each person in Masada.
Welcome back. Here's the final segment of our tour of one of Israel's most amazing sites, Masada. We are standing in the place where the Jews, their last place before they're going to be conquered and slain. What was going on in this room here?
Okay, so first of all, this room is a synagogue, okay? Originally, in Jewish tradition, a synagogue is called a Beit Knesset, or a gathering house, rather than a worship house.
Okay.
So people would gather here and do their talks and discussions and so on. So Eleazar ben Yair, the commander of the rebellion, when he knows that the following day there is no chance the Romans are going to come into Masada, kill everybody, rape the women and so on, he gathers all the men into the synagogue, into the gathering place, and he gives them an oration, a speech in order to persuade them to do what he wanted them to do.
Well, I was looking over the speech, and it's amazing what he's trying to convince them to do. It says here, let our wives die before they're abused, our children before they have tasted slavery. And after we have slain them, let us bestow that glorious benefit upon one another, mutually, and preserve ourselves in freedom as an excellent funeral monument for us. What's he asking them to do?
He's asking them, and they did do it. He's asking everybody to go out, and Josephus Flavius describes it like after they have finished hearing Eleazar ben Yair, everybody ran out, hugged obviously their wives and their children, and have slain them. Killed every and each person in Masada. And then, after doing such a horrible thing, really incredibly terrible thing, they came back here and they gathered and they drew the lots of who are going to be the 10 last people who are going to kill all their friends. And then who is going to be the last one who is going to kill everybody else and slit his own throat. And imagine the archaeologist, Yigael Yadin, in the 50s and the 60s, when he comes over here from the Hebrew University and he does the excavation. He read the story, obviously, of Josephus Flavius. He knows the history. And he comes over here and he finds the piece of clay with the name Ben Yair.
This is the lot of the leader of the rebellion who gets the final lot to slit his own throat.
Maybe.
Wow.
So imagine a modern scholar. He was the head of staff of the Israeli army before he became an archaeologist. He is a scientist from the Hebrew University, and he comes over here and he finds something like that. Now, this is incredible.
It is.
Like you have a validation of the story of an incredible story of bravery and courage of ancient Jewish people.
This story is stunning. 10,000 Roman soldiers surrounding this Jewish community. They're the last place in all of Israel that's still holding on to their freedom, and they choose freedom over slavery.
100%, almost 100%, because 2 women and 3 children were spared. They were not noticed. They hid in one of the caves, and then when the Romans the following day they came into Masada, they were stunned, obviously, by what the Jews have done, like killing themselves. They are not used to such thing, and they have seen the warehouses that were still full of food, no problem holding forever. but only because they did not want to become slaves, they decided to kill themselves.
What an incredible story and an incredible place. Thanks you. I mean, this is a powerful moment in Israel's history. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
In light of the strict religious code against suicide, the desperate Jewish leaders willingly killed their wives and children, then allowed themselves to be finally killed by their leader. So in the end, only one person was technically guilty of committing suicide. Throughout history, this event has been seen as an act of defiance against foreign rulers and has been a symbol to the Jewish people of how freedom is to be valued over slavery. Until recently, recruits to the Israel Defense Forces Armored Unit would actually swear the oath of allegiance in an annual ceremony on the summit of Masada. They chanted their defiant cry, "Masada will never fall again." Stay tuned, more P3 right after this. Welcome back to P3. I want to thank our hosts, the Canadian Friends of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, for allowing us to experience the incredible story of Masada. Make sure you check out our website for your favorite archived interviews and a schedule of upcoming shows. Also, if you have a question or comment for us, drop us an email at info@p3tv.ca. Thanks for watching. I'm Randall Mark.